Hey everyone, welcome back to Urban Pro Wrestling. Super excited to be here. Definitely was on time for this interview.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, you probably see a very familiar face. I'm super excited about this one. I know it's been a really great week for you, and we're actually going to touch upon that in just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest signee to Urban Pro Wrestling, actually as an interviewer, as a backstage and in ring personnel, the reporter himself. He actually has a nickname. Evil Once, how are you?
What's going on, man? How you doing, brother? I see you finally woke up from that long snapper that you took earlier. Make it, brother. Wait. All I know is this: if you ask any weird questions, I'm walking out and I'm having my lawyer call you. I'm just saying right now.
There you go.
Just saying
So,
it right now, brother.
it's been a really fun week for you, and it's only Wednesday.
Yes.
Um, you've had two bits of good news. Number one, this is like a two-part question. How does it feel to be the official flag holder for MLW's Tag Team Champions 5150?
Man, it's crazy. I don't even know how this came about. I always show, go dressed back in the days from Impact, go with my Puerto Rican flag, dressed all in Puerto Rican colors or whatever. Show my pride for my little island or whatever. Go up there and I did it, three times for MLW since they've been in Philly. We drive 6 hours, go back and forth. We go have the shows. We enjoy the shows. My nephews love it. They have their favorite. They have their ones that they hate. They get mad when their favorites lose. So, but this when this happened, it was Chef who actually asked Julius Smokes first, and he said, "Hey, if the rest of the guys agree with it, hey, whatever." And then he came up with asked the questions again with this past Monday with Limelight and Slice Boogie, and both of them said yeah. So I guess three fives of the group say yes, so I'm pretty sure that means I'm like anointed to be there. I just gotta bring some gifts, like gifts to guys when I go see them in May for the show back in Philly. So I gotta bring a sliced boogie, a bottle. I'm sorry, limelight, a bottle of henny, and I have to get some food stamp money, EBT card for sliced boogie. So we go from there, man. But it's an honor, man. It was weird. It's crazy to be like named officially. So I mean, even though it's kind of funny, it's a joke. It's still kind of funny. When I go see them, I'm always wearing my flag. It's not just 5150 for any Boricua Puerto Rican talent. If you're there, you're gonna see that flag flying for you, baby. That's a proud moment for us to see people our own skin color, being there in a big major show and how different it is now from what it was back in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and how it is now. So I'm proud of all those guys.
And to touch upon, so I'm going to divert real quick. We do, and this company, we do not pretend like companies don't exist. We know it does. That's just wrestling. There's hundreds out there, so I just want to put that out there. But in the second bit of news, just being contacted and signed by Urban Pro Wrestling, it's really great to be able to do this.
Yes.
Because for those who don't know, we do have a history. This is not our first time interacting with each other. We've
Yep.
actually done this quite often on a
Yes.
little podcast called Major League Podcast
Yep.
with our good friend Chef, as you mentioned. So it's really fun to be able to actually be the one to interview you here, and just welcome to the team.
I know, which this is also a surprise too. When you mentioned that, I'm like, hold on, nobody told me this before. So this is news to me right now. What you mentioned about the backstage interview and stuff like that. Whoa, hold up. So that's another bit of news right there that just caught me off guard. So
So how are you feeling?
hey man, I don't know, weird man. I feel kind of scared now. The
The pressure is definitely on
pressure,
for sure.
man. I wasn't expecting that, But hey, I'll say this, man. I'm honored, and I'll do my best. Thank you so much for thinking about me. Yeah, it's an honor, man. I'm just kind of like the nervousness is like tripping me right now.
the
Because I wasn't expecting that right there, man. But that's cool though, man. I'm shocked though. So can't believe it, and I'm shocked.
And that's honestly great to hear. And one of the things that I love about doing this, in being able to talk to the talent too, is I like to make this as unpredictable as possible. I like to kind of keep everyone on their toes. And that's kind of like the way I do these. So I'm just going to start off. I always ask everyone this question, and I would want to just like pick the brain of you too, because you've seen a lot of decades and time periods in professional wrestling, a lot more than most have, including myself. So, what kind of first got you started into like watching professional wrestling?
Hey man, grandpa back in Puerto Rico, man. Back, I want to say like 77, 78. I'm running around the house, wrestling stars on a Saturday and Sunday afternoon. He'll call me over, like, vente, papito, vamos a lucha libre. And I'm like, oh, no, I want to go play with my brother. And I call him, let's go sit down. Like, all right. And then you watching this bigger than life characters on TV and going at it, and you think everything is real at that age, and you're like, oh my God, and then, especially Carlitos Colon fighting Abdullah the Butcher on TV, and you see all this blood coming out, like, oh, what the hell's going on? Scared half to death. I'm like 6, 7 years old, like, what? I can't do on TV, he's getting killed. And grandpa's over there screaming at the TV, yeah, saying all these bad words in Spanish. And grandma's on the corner, hey, don't be cursing in front of him. And you're like, oh, man, homie, what's going on? So yeah, he got me into that, man, like in the 70s, man. And then we moved to the States in 82, and back in 83, we got our first TV here in the States, and the first thing that I saw was TBS, the Superstation. And I remember some of those guys, Ric Flair from down in Puerto Rico from the late 70s, 80s, when he will go, the territories, go for a little program. But there with Carlitos Colon, man. So it was kind of weird seeing him down in Puerto Rico and then seeing him here in the States. And that's how I just kept going with the wrestling right from there. And then I found out about other wrestlings, Uncle Vince, World Class Championship Wrestling when they had an ESPN. So everything was like, learning the language and learning how to speak English and then watching wrestling and picking stuff up. Like, wow, there's a lot of wrestling on TV back in those days, before 2000 hit and Uncle Vince bought everything. And then that was like nothing for a while. So
It's funny 'cause you mentioned the days of Ric Flair, and I want to ask, was that primarily the NWA days with the 10 pounds of gold, or was that more so the WF version or WWE version, I think, at that time?
nah, this was strictly NWA. They had the NWA sign with the WCW in the back, governed by the NWA. This was the 10 pounds of gold. This was before the formation of the Horsemen, or at this time still. So, seeing the formation of the Horsemen first hand was amazing because I didn't know anything about, what was going on. All I know is the bad guys are the good guys. The Russians were the bad guys. The Americans were the good guys. That's how I knew it back then. You knew who the guys were, the good guys, and the bad guys were. And then you watch Flair bad guy go up against Dusty Rhodes or whatever, and then later on he goes against Nikita Koloff in a cage. Dusty Rhodes comes to help him, so you think, oh, so Ric Flair's a good guy now, but then they turn on Dusty with the Anderson brothers at that time, the cousins or whatever. So I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So everything was good and bad. That was it. It was face or heel, nothing else.
It's funny, like you mentioned Nikita. Well, I could
Nikita
not.
Koloff. Yep.
Nikita Koloff.
Yeah, and,
So
and Ivan Koloff.
and it's really funny. Gosh, it's so old.
Oh yeah, man. This is the beginning of the Russians against the superpowers against the Four Horsemen. So they have Vladimir Kishlov and they had Nikita Koloff, Ivan Koloff, the Russian Bear. You had the Four Horsemen. You had Dusty Rhodes with Magnum TA before Magnum had the accident. Because once he had the accident, kind of things just kind of went a little bit over. But this was like the time right there, man. 83, 84. TBS was the place to be. 605 on Saturday, bro. Just watch it like religiously. It's 605, it's 605. And you pray that the Braves didn't start at 7:05, because then there'll be an hour show. And you're like, no, not today. I need a full 2 hours.
It's funny. I remember we did a podcast. this was I remember the last time I was on a show with you guys was like 2 months ago, and for obvious reasons because all this, uh, and I remember you had a lot more knowledge on the NW United. I was very new to the product, so I didn't understand the 605 thing, and I didn't understand why like the TV title I believe it was like only 6 minutes, 5 6 matches. It feels very that's necessarily it was very like new to me because you look at the way professional wrestling is now, and it's fast paced, it's like lightning quick, and clearly from what the NW is, it's like a blast from the past type of thing, and you have that experience of watching that firsthand. How do you kind of compare, something like that, the current NWA product to the time beforehand?
Yeah, I mean, I respect what Billy Corgan has done, bringing the name back and bringing the NWA, because that NWA has always been my heart. That's been like my childhood wrestling, my heart, man. Everything was NWA back in those days. So to see it now, the name back, and seeing what he's been doing with it, and trying to keep the tradition going with the Crockett Cup coming back for the tag teams, bringing back the NWA Junior heavyweight title, the women's tag team titles. You can see he's still trying to keep that tradition going with how things are now with the new style of wrestling. So and I like what he's doing now with the new show NWA USA, because he has a lot of people that people don't know much about, and I like that because it gets you to watch the show more. I mean, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea to watch that type of show and what he's trying to do, but people like myself who's seen it from a younger age to now, you get to appreciate what he's been doing and trying to do with the name and keep the name going. The keepsake of the name and the tradition of the 10 pounds of gold, Charlotte and stuff like that. So I mean, I love it. I know a lot of people don't like it. You know, and people are fans. They get to choose whatever they want. I watch wrestling. I watch every kind of wrestling, no matter who it is, and I go from there. Things that I like and things that I don't like. So.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's like, doing shows with you. I've realized that we have a very similar outlook on professional wrestling. I think we both like and the best product possible, and
Yes.
we do dive a little bit deeper into the actual storytelling, and it's really funny because like I catch myself being able to ask questions that you would ask wrestlers, and just kind of wording it differently. And to kind of go off there, since and I'm pretty sure this will be a very long answer for me too. Uh, Storytelling. I mean, you've seen the evolution of storytelling throughout the ages of wrestling. Um, at what point for you did you realize, like, all right, this is when it hit its peak, like everything is making sense? Is that like, the current time period we're in? Was that like, between the 80s, the 90s? Was there ever a time where storytelling was truthfully never able to be questioned?
I mean, for a long time before, how can I say that? Before the internet started, I believed every storyline that was out there. I'm like, I didn't know anything about what was going on, how things now, because everything now is PWI, all the different websites that give you all whatever, all, well, they wanted to do this, they wanted to do that, they wanted to do this, and this happened. Back then you didn't have no computers. You had to watch the product, and you had to decide, okay, this is true or this is kind of like fake, and you kind of going like, damn, I don't know if this is true or not. For example, the incident with Magnum TA came out, and Tony Blanchard, confronted him, hit him, pushed him down, and Dusty Rose came out with a baseball bat, started beating the crap out of out of Tony Blanchard. Right there, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is true. But at the same time, you got to go like, hold on, it can't be that true because, he's going to kill a guy hitting somebody with a baseball bat. So you right there, you kind of going, okay, I think I'm beginning to see the real stuff and the fake stuff now of what the storytelling is. But without really thinking and not knowing, you think it's true. At that time, I was thinking, I'm 16, 17 years old. I'm like, holy shit, this dude's gonna kill Tony Blanchard on TV. You know, when the real Midnight Express came out and busted Jim Cornette open, and all that blood is coming out on his white jacket. I'm like, they murdered Jim Cornette on TV with all this blood. You know, that was the first time I seen blood like that on an American TV. You know, you get used to that in Puerto Rico because they don't censor anything. So you get to see that all the time. But here, I was in shock when that happened to Jimmy. But then, you know, later on, you hear now in today's day, you hear the interviews of how they did it, and you go like, oh, you know, it kind of makes sense now. But back then, when you're, you know, 16, 17, dude, you believe in everything you see on TV. So you don't know what's real or fake. And when you have that elusive mentality that you don't know, you start making your own stories in your head. Like, oh my God, this dude just got killed. Like, oh my God, I have to turn in next week to see what happens to Jimmy.
And that just adds like so much to like the wrestling, like the storytelling too. And it's always super fun. I know you can have to agree with me to watch in-ring psychology, you know, the matches at work.
Yes.
I definitely feel that this generation specifically has gotten so much better at that, especially storytelling in the ring. Not to that it wasn't good before, but I think they've definitely taken it up a notch, you know. And with that being said, it's cool because you have the archives of just watching wrestling develop as you've gotten older. And to you, at what point, I just want to ask, what do you feel is like what do you feel has been the glory period for wrestling?
Like around the years?
Yeah.
I mean, anything, I want to say anything before 2000, before Vince McMahon started buying everything out. Because I think once WCW went out, I think that's when the landscape of wrestling started to change. Because you always had that big between Uncle Vince and Ted Turner back in those times, and that was it. You know, then you had WCCW, you had, you know, ECW was starting to come out and stuff like that, but you really had just those two companies fighting each other, and everybody else was getting bought out. You know, Florida Championship Wrestling was getting bought out, stuff from Memphis was getting bought out. You know, getting caught in the mix. So once that happened, the landscape definitely changed because now, from 2000 to I want to say the formation of AEW, maybe that's been the biggest company, you know, threat to Uncle Vince. Anybody born from 2000 to like 2020 only knows Uncle Vince company, and they want to have that WrestleMania moment. And yeah, we don't care what happened to this person there. We still want to go there. That's why you don't see this new generation going to WWE and then they get released, but you never hear them say anything bad about the company because at any second they'll drop whatever they're doing to go back to that company.
Right.
Period. And that's it. And even wrestlers who are in their 30s will drop anything what they're doing right now to go to WWE. Period. They'll do that. 95% of them will drop whatever they're doing and will go running to Uncle Vince's company because that's the landscape. That's the mountain that you always want to climb for the last 20 years. So today's society has been brain warped into the universe that is Uncle Vince's company. AEW for the last 2 years has shown that there's something else other than there. And then now you have companies that have been fighting for the last 20 years now. Impact Wrestling made it for 20 years now this year. Ring of Honor would have done it, but you saw what happened. And, you know, you have NWA's back. You have MLW who was back in the 2000s for a couple of years before they went out for like 15 years. And then Kurt Bauer, you know, got all those things together. And then the company got resurrected again and went from there. So there's companies out there that now you have choices to go there, but anybody from those companies who are in their 20s will drop working for NWA, for Impact Wrestling, for MLW to go to Uncle Vince's company and start right there on the bottom at NXT 2.0 or up there, you know, because they know they're gonna get that set contract. They know they're gonna get that health insurance. They're gonna get their benefits. They're gonna get the lifestyle that they want. They can finally quit their job, their 9 to 5, to work for this company and do their show 300 times a year and go to different countries that they heard of, can't even pronounce, to go there. You see other people bitching about Saudi Arabia. Get me 15, 20, 30-year-old people and see how fast they go to Saudi Arabia without bitching about it.
Oh yeah. No, definitely.
They complain about it, but this is how social media has taken over the world. Everything is through social media now. Everybody has the freedom to say whatever they want to say, whether it makes sense or it's just so stupid as comment is there. And then you have people there who are just sheep, who are following one wrestling without thinking about, well, let's see what other wrestlers are there. They don't believe in anything else except for Uncle Vince's company. Oh my God, we're the females down there are doing this and doing that. Well, you know something? If it wasn't because of social media, you wouldn't know what the hell was going on in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't. And it's fun.
And let's be honest, people don't give a shit what's going on in Saudi Arabia. You know why? Because you care about what's going on in your own backyard. You take care of yourself. I feel bad for everybody outside of my house, but there's nothing I could do outside of my house. I gotta take care of my family, me. I gotta work to pay my mortgage. Nobody else is gonna do that stuff for me. So but social media gives you that freedom to say what you think that you're saying. Oh, I'm making a difference with this tweet. Really? What the hell you did? You didn't do shit. You just wrote something, okay, like you and everybody else thinks the same thing. But hey, I'm sorry for them, but I'm worried about what's happening here in my own backyard. I gotta put food in my table for myself. My fat has gotta eat. So
to the edit guy.
Yeah.
We're not editing this out. This is a hot mic. This is how we do things when you put two of us together. So therefore, this is not getting edited out. I'll make sure it doesn't.
I'm not being disrespectful to anyone. I'm not putting anybody down. But let's be honest. People say people have to tweet things so you can make yourself look good. And if you see somebody tweet something, you want to respond in a positive way because you do not want to be canceled or be seen as saying, well, he said this. I can't believe he said that. No, I said the truth, how I feel. But if I don't say what 95% of the people say, then I'm the outsider. I'm an outcast.
And it's really funny that you mentioned that. I was going to touch upon it at a later point, but since we're already here, let's do that. Why not? I don't know. That's cool.
I didn't get the chapters of what we're supposed to hear. I didn't get that paper.
There is never an itinerary here.
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce the word, so yeah, that word right there.
So it's
itinerary. I can't even say. The accent killed you, man. The itinerary.
Dear Lord, it's funny. It's like knowing that social media, knowing that wrestling, a big portion, I think, to why not necessarily just even companies blow up, but even wrestlers too. You've watched wrestling from the time, but there were territories, and we're gonna touch upon that in just a second. But when you watch that and you compare it to, all right, well, this wrestling here and there and all over the place with social media, it's become in a way a positive outlet for wrestlers to get more traction, get more attention that they wouldn't necessarily get that early on or later on in their career if it wasn't for social media. So seeing that, do you see that as a good tool for wrestlers to use to get their name out there?
Social media is the best way to get your name out there if you're using it for that purpose. Like me, I'm a fan. I'm a wrestling fan. I would love to have wrestlers have 2 different Twitter pages. One for your personal stuff and one for your wrestling stuff. You are a human being just like us. You breathe, you live your life like us. But I don't care how many pets you have, what you do outside of, I don't care about none of that stuff. Like what you like to drink, I don't care about all that stuff. I want to see your wrestling stuff. Talk you wrestling. I want to see this your wrestling persona. That's who I want to follow on social media. There's people out here that just go and they put their whole lives in there, and now you have fans like us knowing their pet names, knowing this and knowing that, and then they get mad when somebody crosses the line. I understand, in a perfect world, people will know right from wrong, but unfortunately, we live in the world we live in where a lot of people don't know right from wrong, and they just think it's fine to be sending, rude
The keyboard
messages.
warriors.
Yeah,
That's what I call them.
the internet, the keyboard thugs, internet thugs, or whatever, asking stupid questions. But social media is the best way to get your stuff out there, especially if people follow you. You use it every single day. Put something out there, put something positive out there. When social media started, I always thought that social media was going to be something for the positive. I told myself, oh wow, social media is going to be something good because I'm going to learn things that I probably don't know, things from a different country, factual stuff, people putting stuff about medical things or doing this or doing that,
And
and
to a
yeah,
and to a degree, like absolutely, I think it definitely has been. And
yeah,
I feel that Twitter for wrestling is a blessing and a curse. I
yes,
think to a lot of people, it's a great tool. I think for a lot of younger people, it is a great tool. As good as it is, it's also necessarily like a really negative aspect because it's really easy to slip up and put something that isn't necessarily bad, but like can be picked apart. And that's the one thing. Like everyone is a critic nowadays, especially in wrestling. And I've realized like you can't appease everyone because I may like, all right, well, Jack Jones had a great off the top of elbow drop. It was a great finisher. I'm just hypothetically, and then you could be like, oh, it was horrible. He barely even hit him, no traction.
yeah,
And the X, Y, and Z. It made no sense that move out of all things finished them like that. That's no longer a finishing mover. But back then, that off the top of elbow drop, depending on whoever did it, that was Randy Savage's, WWF championship, shot right there, the money shot for him. So you've got things like that, and I also kind of wanted to touch on, seeing, I guess, pseudo finishes now, from like the leg drop or the pile driver. The pile driver is a great one. Everyone's whipping out pile drivers like there's no tomorrow, or like the Canadian destroyers just
yeah.
left and right. How do you what is your take on moves that were essentially game enders before back then that are now like, oh, I'm gonna kick out at like one just because I can. Like, how do you feel about stuff like that when you see it?
I hate it. I hate it every single time. I remember Shawn Michaels super kick, like you said, the power driver, the figure four leg lock, the sleeper was a big one. Was the sleeper? Now you get the 1-2, and oh, he's still up. But you see the same move putting people away every week on their TV show. But when you get to that main event match, it doesn't work anymore. You know, I always said that the finishing maneuver should be protected to the point that when it gets hit, it's supposed to end the match. Period. Unless you hit it so hard that the person's body is right next to the ropes or under the rope, or they're able to be close and they'll roll out. That different ways how you can stop it from being the finishing maneuver. But giving the same maneuver multiple times to pin somebody, after a while, it's just you see it coming. Especially somebody my age, you sit there going, "Oh, it's gonna take 4 elbows matches from the heavens to pin this dude here," because they want to make the person strong, and God permit that they get pinned cleanly in the middle of the ring, because now like you said, the critics come, oh my God, they made him look weak, or this happened or that happened. I can't believe they did this to her. But everybody's a critic, and then social media gives you the access to
Uh,
be that critic.
yeah.
Period. No matter what match it is, it could be 95% approval rating. There's going to be one person that's going to have something negative to say, and it's going to get some traction about that. Yeah, I agree with this guy. Well, I want to be different, so I agree with him. But the days of the one finishing maneuver ending a match, those days are done. You rarely see a main event match with one cold stone, which I can't pronounce the word, the cold stoner, or a people's elbow, or a choke slam, where the match is done. Now you got to hit 6 different F5s, 6 Superman punches,
And
three, yeah,
to
three super kicks, 2 Canadian destroyers, plus a code red to be able to. Oh, and the referee got knocked out. So they got knocked out with the chair 6 times.
So to follow up on what we're talking about here, we're not just like we're not taking shots. We're just explaining. We are two people who watch independent wrestling heavily. The Championship Wrestling from Hollywood's one of his favorite promotions right now. And Championship Wrestling from Memphis. Like we could literally go through the whole itinerary of what you watch and what I've watched, and you'd be like, well, how do they have the time for this? We are very, I think, very skilled.
Let me tell you one more thing. One little finished story, funny thing. Ric Flair always had the Horseman. Every time they fought on TV, it was a main event. The Horseman would come out and beat the crap out of the people. The shit was always a disqualification. But when it came to the big main event pay-per-views, Ric Flair always won. But he won it believably. He won the matches. And I remember one match having to do with Ronnie Garvin. Every time when he beat Flair for the belt, he came back. And he always will put him on the figure 4. Ronnie Garvin will always switch it around, and he could never pin him that way. So what happens during the match? The turnbuckle gets taken out. Boom. And you forget about the turnbuckle being taken out. Next thing you know, they're doing the move. He does the catapult. Boom. Ronnie Garvin's head hits the top of the exposed turnbuckle. Get knocked out. He gets pinned. 1, 2, 3. Now one Horseman jumped in. He didn't have to use the figure 4 because he knew that it was going to get turned. He found a different way to beat him. He didn't cheat. You never saw him cheat. You didn't see the referee get knocked out. You didn't see no outside interference. But both wrestlers looked strong.
Right.
He won because the dude got knocked out using his own move that he was trying to use to expose turnbuckle, and he got knocked out on that way. Flair wins. He looks strong because he gets the belt back. Ronnie Garvin was loses, but he still looks strong because he lost in a weird way. It didn't take 6 different times to put him into the figure 4. He didn't take the outside interference, getting hit in the head twice with a chair or with the championship belt. That was the storytelling back then. They was found a way to make Flair win, but also make his opponent look strong. With Luger, when they had that match in what was it, Indy, that the blood, that was real. That was a real rule in Indy about if they didn't allow blood. And what happens? They used that to their advantage for Luger to lose the belt to Flair. No outside interference. No Horsemen came in. The ref didn't get knocked out. They used something to their advantage. Luger was bleeding when he was going to win the match, and they called the match off because they saw blood coming down, and that's the rule in their state. But now it's the same finishes. It's the same thing. They taking that out. They want to make everybody look like they're on. A 200-pound guy can take 24 different finishers and still kick out. I mean, somewhere or somehow, something's going to have to give to say, come on, guys. I mean, enough of this crap. That's impossible. I mean, I'll take that move once. I'm knocked out. They're going to have to take me to the hospital with a concussion. You know what I'm saying? So this is where things need to change because it's always the same thing. And people, I'm surprised nobody's getting tired of that already, of the same stuff.
I think, when you have watched the same thing, I think there's like a little bit of complacency on what to expect. I think maybe like the expectations are a little bit low for certain things, and it's really funny because talking about complacency, territories. You were around for that time period.
Oh yeah, yes.
Would you say it would be beneficial today to still have territories around?
Oh God, yes, yes. I remember when the Road Warriors were just coming out strong. The Warriors were at that time, we're talking about 82, 83, the most dominating physically chiseled monsters at that time. Not one guy, but two guys that looked the same. For 1 year, they didn't have not one tag team belt, but they will come to every company and destroy everybody.
Wow.
And then they will go, and then they were then when they finally signed to NWA, they were the tag team champions, NWA tag team champions, and then they had the United States tag team champions. That was always the number one contender. The reason why they had two belts like that was because the champion will go to the territories for a program. So they'll leave for a month or two, and the United States Championship will be the number one title being defended for that month or two, being the focus on that show. So now you see the Road Warriors going to Florida, going to Memphis, going to somewhere else, doing a program for a whole month, fighting somebody else. Now you're helping that company bring in fans, bringing that money, because now you're seeing the Road Warriors, who are bigger than life at that time, coming to a Memphis company. Dude, the ticket sales are off the roof. You're getting shows sold out in Memphis at the Coliseum or the Omni in Atlanta back in those days. You're talking about, 7 to 10,000 people on a Tuesday night, not on the weekend, on a weekday, where the fans are packing this place up to see the bigger than life Road Warriors at that time. And now you're seeing something through it now. Now they call it the Forbidden Door. Now it's called. Now you're seeing, for example, Matt Cordona. He's in Impact Wrestling, but now he's also doing stuff for NWA
Right.
at the same time. Oh my God, he's in two different shows. That's the Forbidden Door. That's what they call it now. It's the Forbidden Door. So now when you see a guy who works for one place go somewhere else, that's the Forbidden Door rule now. That Tony Khan came out with a year ago. But no, it should be a territory, and that's why you have a good work relationship between yourself and myself. Like, hey, Vic, I was wondering if I could borrow this guy for this big show coming up in a month, and you go, yeah, I could do that. Can you let me borrow this guy? And I say, oh, hell yeah, yeah, you can take him for a month, and I'll take your guy for a month. We do a program, dude. The house sales is going to go off the roof.
And skyrocket, yeah. But I feel that
You helping me out, and I'm helping you out with my biggest. You ask me who's ready to come up. I'll send you this girl. She's ready. She could, put in that program with your female champion there right now. Boom. We do a little trade, especially if stuff like now is being taped for once a month. 2 days a month. You could have them do the backstage interviews, do the match, and do everything. And now this person is off for the rest of the month, getting paid because they did the favor for your company, and you watch my back and I watch your back. Everybody wins.
Yeah, and it's crazy how people don't think like that anymore. It's about what can you do for me and not what I can do for you as well. But then again, that goes to just show you the world that we live in today. It's very grimy, but
Hey, papi, mira,
no,
it's
yeah.
about money, baby. It's about that money.
And it's funny, like it's interesting. Like I have always said, the fact that we're open to work with others, I think is absolutely critical, not only to our success but to other success. And being able to work together, like, hey, I'll send you this guy, you send me that guy, I think is going to be so key and so critical in the upcoming months too. Because we want to be open, we want to have alliances, we want to have partnerships with other companies. Because independent wrestling, if you can unite that, you have a united front that could really be able to not necessarily make a stand, but be able to really showcase, hey, this is this person's town. Hey, this is my town. Then you're putting eyeballs on both your products, because now you're featuring a guy that you've not had before, and that guy brings something different, or that girl brings something different than what you originally had, and vice versa for the other products. And gosh, I think that'd be like a great thing to happen. Then I think a lot of things have to be set in motion for that to effectively take place. But I find it really.
Well, you know for a fact Uncle Vince is never gonna do that. Which I was shocked they did that with Mickey James. And they actually acknowledged the Impact title on in the universe. That right there was crazy right there. I never thought I would see that, but it was still kind of embarrassing me as a fan for Mickey James, who got her stuff a year before, sent home in a garbage bag, and then you go to your husband's company NWA to make the biggest female pay per view in the history for 2 days. Now you're working for Impact, you win the title, in less than a year you're gonna go back and swallow your pride and dignity for what? For a payday? Dude, they threw you in the trash like that you were yesterday's news and saying you belongings in a garbage bag home. But less than a year later, you're gonna go back and nothing ever happened. To prove what point? That girls can do it, girl power. That right there makes no sense to me. I don't care what anybody says they could spin this or what did this. No man. She swallowed her pride. She wasn't worth anything to them. She got that payday and she went back like where her tail's between her legs, that nothing ever happened. I don't care what she thinks she was trying to, or the point she was trying to make. But someone like me, my age, is gonna see her. She just whatever, just took the money. But somebody younger, like yourself, goes on Twitter and argues with me about it. Ah, you just a hater. No, dude. Why am I hating for what? How am I a hater about what? So you rather get shitted on, go back and build your name up and do stuff, and then go back again.
Kind of how it works.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
kind of how it works.
That's all right. Next time they'll send my stuff in a plastic container instead of a hefty bag.
Yeah, I think partnerships are definitely key, and I would find it relatively interesting to see how territories would play out with just the myriad of independent wrestling promotions like ours are that are out there. It would be definitely interesting to see how that could work and play kind of like a little bit of a checks and balance system a little bit. One of the things I think we touched up on, but always would like to get more detail on. So we talked about territories. We've talked about yeah, who are some of your favorite wrestlers?
Oh boy, that's crazy right there, man. You Four Horsemen right from the beginning. The Four Horsemen. The second rendition of the Midnight Express, not the first one with Dennis Condrey. I like the one with Sweet Stan Lane better and Jim Cornette, the Midnight Express. The fabulous ones back in the AWA days. Love those dudes. Uh, the ones that used to give me a nightmare were the Kangaroos from Australia. Those guys used to give me nightmares. I don't know why. Because they used to beat up everybody in Puerto Rico tag teams. So I used to see them when I was a kid. And they'll come with the damn boomerangs and hit people with the boomerangs. They used to get, and Bill the Butcher. I know the monster that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Because he was always bleeding on TV. So I was always scared. Like, oh my God, he's bleeding. Well, he's bleeding again. No, they killed him. Yeah, man. But yeah, and like I always say, NWA was my heart before I found out about WWF back in those days. Before I found out about World Class Championship Wrestling, of course, the Dynamics, the fabulous Freebird, bro, all day.
Oh dear,
the fabulous Freebird, bro. That whole crew was amazing. From Georgia wrestling, man, when they were just strictly in Georgia before they were doing the stuff in the NWA, bro. If you have a chance to watch those shows, that shit was gold back there, man. Of course, Gino Hernandez, rest in peace. Chris Adams, rest in peace, because they were a tag team World Class Championship Wrestling, the Dynamic Duo, they were called. Boy, those two guys together were unstoppable until Gino turned on Chris Adams, man. Broke my heart. Broke my damn heart. Broke my heart. Dude, I was pissed. I was pissed for months when that happened. Before I knew, real wrestling, I was mad. I was disappointed, man. The happiest day of my life was when Barry Windham joined the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, all right.
87, baby. I remember that I was a sophomore in high school. I went back the next day talking to one of my friends, like, yo, you see the show on Saturday, baby, with them fight each other for. I said, yeah. We had the little nerdy, we were the nerds back then. You know, you can't
Oh
say
no.
stuff like that anymore. But back in those days, it was okay to call people nerds and losers. That was us. We were the loser table, the nerd table. All we talked about was wrestling. So it was just a couple of us there. So you knew who the losers were. You saw the jocks. You saw the losers right there. Talk about wrestling. Those are the losers right there. Go sit there. That was my table. So yeah.
So to round this insane circle we've been
Yes, sir. This the tail.
Yeah, really. We have hit so many different topics somehow. So what do you expect to see out of Urban Pro Wrestling?
I'm expecting to see a lot of young, new talent that I've probably never seen before, heard of, because I have watched the interviews of every person you sign, and I go, oh my God, I never seen or heard this person. Oh my God, never seen or heard this person. So I'm looking forward to the card. I'm excited because the talent, the roster hits the name Urban, and the reason why you're doing the Urban. So I love that because it's definitely I can't pronounce it, ethnicity is at an all-time high in the Urban Pro Wrestling, which is amazing. I love to see that. So I'm going to be there. Now, before you mentioned that, I thought I was going to be sitting in the front row, going crazy and cheering. Now I found out I'm going to be out in the back working. So that's a different. Now I'm going to be excited in a different way. But I'm definitely going to be excited as a announcer, interviewer, because I get to see and meet these guys and ladies firsthand, man. But I'm just excited for this. I'm excited for you, what you're doing. A young person like yourself with their mind on the proper place and focused, and not getting deluded with everything that you see out there, and sticking to something that you've been wanting to do for a while, that you've seen growing up for a while. You know, from the wrestlers to the ring. I don't know. I don't think you mentioned the ring yet, right?
I have. So
You have.
a lot of the wrestlers.
But
No,
to the media, to the people like us, have you mentioned?
I think I have, and if I haven't, I apologize. I could have sworn I did. For those of you who don't know, we actually have a six-sided ring.
And where does that come from? Where the idea comes from?
I'm not gonna lie, TNA Impact is when I watched TNA Impact before the Hogan era, and I loved the six-sided.
It tells everybody that you grew up watching TNA Impact, and he said it. He didn't say Impact or TNA. He said TNA Impact. So he knows that it's from way back in the beginning, like you said, the Hogan era. So you already know where your ideas are coming from one show that we always watch. And we always went, and you guys always went to it when they were there in Orlando. They had the Impact Zone. So
I think one of the coolest things, and I try to tell people this, is that you have to watch more than just one program. You know, if you don't watch the New Japans, if you don't watch the AEWs, if you don't watch the WWs, if you don't watch the Impact Wrestling, if you don't watch the MLWs, the Lucha Undergrounds, the Aztec Undergrounds, you're stuck in this like weird bubble, and you're only going to see one spectrum of wrestling, and wrestling as a whole has a massively large spectrum. Even independently, I may not be the biggest fan of this company. I'm not the biggest fan of GCW, but even they have good storytelling to a certain degree. So I find it hard to sit there and nitpick a product and dissect a product and not be able to find one good thing about it. That there's got to be something out of the whole show that you can take and be like, hey, that was actually really good. And if you can't, you're not a wrestling fan.
there's so much wrestling out there, and people say there's not enough time to watch it. There is enough time to watch it if you focus on the ones that you are favorites. That's the ones that you put first, and then you, like me, I don't know much about stuff. What do you call those? The TV shows, but they're not really TV shows. They're reality shows. I'm not a big fan of reality shows, but I put my ear on the ground and I keep aware of what's going on, so I know people's names. I know what happened without watching it.
Right.
So I keep my ear that way. I may not know nothing about New Jersey Shore or whatever, but I know everybody's names. I know who was with who. I know stuff like that. There's music that I don't like, but I know who people who sings it. I mean, I like it. I'm not gonna listen to it, but I knew who they are. So I keep myself aware. So it's like wrestling. I watch the ones that I want, but I keep aware of what's going on. And I go to YouTube. YouTube is the perfect channel for you to watch this shows in half an hour or less, and just stick to the fastest things. Oh, okay. AEW Dark, AEW Elevation. I stopped watching that because it just got boring. Now what I do is I'll go on YouTube, find the people that I like, the wrestlers that I like, and watch their matches.
Yeah.
That's it. So out of an hour and 15-minute show, I'll watch 20 minutes because I'm watching the people that I want to see. Tiffany Nieves, Angelica Risk, the twins from Mission Pro Wrestling, the Renegade twins. La Rosa Negra. People like that I've seen actually are in there. I say I'm gonna watch their match. They're gonna get squashed because that's what they're there for. But they're getting exposure, and people get to see them. And then by getting exposure, somebody like me goes like, "Oh, I didn't know who she was, but she looked pretty good. Let me see if I could find her somewhere else." You go to YouTube, type the person's name, and boom, now you see all this company that they're working for, and you find new companies you never heard of.
Yeah, that's how it is, and that just kind of starts the feeling the passion right there.
That's what Google search is for. You put the name and boom.
No,
There it goes.
exactly. And
that's what I do. I do my homework as much as possible.
And you guys,
I want to look stupid, but at least when I open my mouth, I do not want to sound stupid. Because at least then, if I sound stupid, it erases everybody's doubts. So
I did. You guys actually announced this earlier this week before I got to. I was like, damn it. But I was really glad. So I'm always open to partnerships, always. And you being part of the Urban Wrestling Network team, I used to be part of that. Again, I had wound up leaving because I'm pretty sure anyone who's watched your guys' podcast, you haven't seen me in 2 months, primarily because I've been running a lot of things over here. So
you're still part of Urban Wrestling Network. That's not going to change. You're living your life and you're working. So
exactly, and to be able to construct a partnership with you guys was really cool. Because again, we've had some memorable moments on that podcast. So, and for those who don't know, who don't follow the Urban Wrestling Network Instagram channel, we did have a partnership confirmed yesterday or 2 days ago. Sorry, that we are working with you guys as well. And I think a lot of what came into that was like, how can we incorporate these guys in here? So to have you guys as the reporter and the interview was extremely crucial, I think, in that negotiation process, and also because you have a resume that kind of is very long when you think about it. You've interviewed already the MLW openweight champion, if I'm not mistaken, Alex Kane. You've interviewed the MLW Tag Team Champions 5150. You've done Shane Taylor, Fat Boy Papo Esco.
Yes, sir.
You've done. God, there's so many. I try to name it. There's so many.
We did Salida de la Renta when she was in MLW, and that was like 2 years ago. And she was having her knee surgery before she knew she had a torn ACL. So so we go way back, couple like 2 years of interviews.
And the resume speaks for itself. I think definitely one of the most qualified people to have a microphone in their hand,
Oh, don't do that, bro. Oh, don't give me a microphone.
So it's going to be really interesting to how this goes on our first show, April 30th. And cannot wait to have this filmed for the YouTube show. And, with that being said, is there any social media, sir, you'd like to plug?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, the partnership between us, Urban Wrestling Network, and the Urban Pro Wrestling, your stuff will be in the website there. So hopefully, in the future, weekly matches or the whole show all at once, there's going to be pictures. We're going to be developing, a picture is going to be a picture section there. So everything from that day is going to be there. But like you mentioned, you can follow us on Urban Wrestling Network on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Urban Rest or Major League Podcast, because we're focused more on the Major League Wrestling part of things. But when we do our interviews, we interview anybody who we like and we respect, and that's who we reach out. And basically, the name Urban Pro Wrestling and Urban Wrestling Network kind of gives you the idea of who we like to interview, which is mostly urban talent. I don't think we have to go into a long detail about the urban, but
self-explanatory.
Yeah, thank you. That's the first I'm looking for. So yeah,
just a coincidence.
Just see people think like, oh, well, it's always the same. Yeah, it's called the urban for a reason. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, we appreciate everybody who follows us. We appreciate anybody who follows you. We appreciate anybody who gives us the time, listens to us babble on and on. To my 5 followers that I have on Twitter on my personal page, I appreciate you guys. I don't know what you guys love is laughing when I say 5 followers. I have 5 followers. What you want to do? I got 5 followers, man, that I know by heart. That I know them by heart, by names, because I've met them in different shows, and they always follow and listen to our stuff. But we appreciate everybody who does, and we appreciate anybody that wants to give us a chance. And like the young master had mentioned before, hopefully by next month you'll have the tickets go on sale for the show. You will know because it's going to be everywhere, from different channels on every social media.
Every day.
You're gonna see it. You're gonna be tired of seeing the damn thing everywhere because it's gonna be. And like you mentioned, like you asked earlier about how do you get yourself out there. This is one of the ways we're gonna get us out there is through social media, is by hustling and pushing it out, going out there. So I'm excited for the show, for your show. I can't wait. It'll be an honor, man. Like I said, it's an honor, and I thank you so much for taking me under you guys' wing and inviting me into the family and stuff like that. And I really appreciate it, and I will do my best not to embarrass myself and you guys. But I can't promise much. So.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have done this for about 58 minutes, almost an hour. I think it's the longest one we've done. Yes. This is what happens when you put 2 old friends on a chat.
One more guy that just babbles on.
So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Follow us on Instagram, Urban Pro Wrestling, Twitter, Urban PW, YouTube, Urban Pro Wrestling. We have a Facebook page. Follow it, Urban Pro Wrestling. We have a website coming out shortly. We've got merchandise that'll be posted shortly. We have a lot of things that are going to be coming up. That is one of the shirts right there. We actually had posted that a long time ago. A fire shirt. Thanks to you, my art and design guy. Absolutely fantastic. And again, with that being said, thank you guys so much. Subscribe. What are you doing? You've made it to the 59th minute mark. So again, have a great one, everybody. Stay off the hook.